Hey guys, welcome back to Ed's Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to fix what might be the dumbest thing done on the Rivian R1T, and that is this stupid thing on the top of the tailgate that likes to break and come off and is super annoying, and Rivian just replaces it with another one of these pieces of junk. Here's the problem with this design though, real quick. So every single piece of extruded plastic here is super thin. This is like 1 millimeter or a 1/16 of an inch thick, and these little clips that hold it on, they just break off really easily. As you can see, most of them are loose or missing. So I've got none left here. They're all gone. Even this little post here is broken off because it's all held on by this tiny little bit of plastic. Then you've got these things, which break off as well. They slot into these little things right here. So the problem is that it wears away the paint and whatnot, and then you get rust problems in the future, but also this thing just keeps coming off and coming loose. So here's what we're gonna do. As you can see right here, one of the biggest problems with loose plastic is it will eventually grind away at the paint, going right down to the metal. So before I do anything, I can hit that up with some touch-up paint. And it's in a few different places actually. So we're gonna get all of those spots and just touch them up so they don't rust. All right, so I've gone ahead and cleaned up all of the spots that needed touch-up, and it's all been touched up. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do, in order to figure out where the holes need to be in this, because the next step is to basically drill holes in this. We're not going to put any screws into the metal framework or metal bodywork or anything like that. We're just going to use existing screws, and that is these 4 screws right here. And then the other part of it's going to be held on by 3M tape. I've got some pretty thin stuff here. I would recommend a thicker stuff, but essentially we're going to run it all along this edge right here, which is then going to stick to the body. If in the future that doesn't work, yeah, then I'll come back and probably put some self-tapper screws through it or something like that. But I think this will work okay. What I would have liked to have done is have a little bit thicker, because the other thing I noticed is that where these little fins are, they've also started to wear down the paint. So if you get like a 1/2 inch thick 3M, that should be perfect. This is only an 1/8 inch wide, so not very wide, but maybe I'll run two lengths down. It actually looks like this little bit here is quarter inch. So maybe I can fit 2 strips of that down it anyway. So what you're gonna wanna do is put this over top of those screws, but first pull these screws out a little bit. You can see I've backed them off a little bit. Put this thing back on, and then where the screws are, just give it a tap with a rubber mallet, or even just a hammer. You don't have to hit it very hard. And what that does is it transfers the exact location of that screw onto the plastic so that you know exactly where to drill the holes. Then obviously the next step is to drill the holes. All right, so I'm going to use a 1/4 inch drill bit. These little screws or bolts or whatever, they're not quite a quarter inch, but that'll give it a little bit of play, which we might need. So I'm going to go ahead and use 1/4 inch drill bit, and now that I know exactly where the holes are, I'm going to go ahead and drill 4 holes. All right, so next bit is to put the 3M tape on there and go ahead and pull out those 4 screws. All right, but before we put the 3M tape on, we do need to clean this with some rubbing alcohol and some paper towels. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that I've got this all cleaned up with rubbing alcohol, I'm gonna go ahead and put the 3M on. I'm not going to pull the red backing off of the 3M though until this is in place and screwed down. And that way we don't have to worry about, the actual proper placement. I am going to lift a little bit of it just so it's easier to get to. Now when you're putting this stuff on, it's important to remember not to stretch it. If you stretch it, it's going to bunch up in the wrong spots. So there's not going to be enough room to do 2 layers side by side. So definitely want to get at least a 1/4 inch. I just had this stuff lying around, so I figured I may as well use it. All right, so we're going to take these screws out now. Screws, bolts, and just do a quick test fit here. And if the test fit's good, then you're ready to go, really. think the test fit's good. Nope. All right, so this actually did work out really, really well for me, even though I could have actually made these holes a little bit bigger. So maybe instead of a 1/4 inch drill bit, consider using a 3/8 drill bit. And as soon as you get a little bit of a divot in there, stop. It doesn't need to be super tight. All right, so we got a little bit of a divot in all the locations here. There we go. Now we can go ahead and close the tailgate, and we'll peel that red backing off of the 3M. All right, so come on over here and have a look. You can see it's actually already very tight, but this is going to help to keep it where it is. You want to lift this up a little bit so as to not accidentally pull the 3M tape off of the plastic side. It's really tight here because this is a spot that still has good clips. And there we go, and then just give it a good press all the way around. That's really good. That worked out exceptionally well. There we go, so a nice tight tailgate cap. If this video was helpful, please subscribe and like and comment below if you have any questions, but otherwise, that's all there is to it. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, take care.